more trucks have been allowed through the Rafah crossing into the southern part of the Gaza Strip. But the government in Gaza says that the total allowed in during the last 17 days, that amounts to 522. That's equal to the number that usually enters Gaza in a single day before Hamas's attacks on October the 7th. The government has also announced that all bakeries in the north of the territory have also been forced to stop operating. Well, we can now speak to Bushra Khalidi. She's the policy lead for Oxfam in the Palestinian Territories and Israel. She joins me now from Ramallah. Bushra, just starting with this food situation. I know Oxfam has said that starvation is being used right now as a weapon of war. Now that we're hearing that bakeries in the north are no longer operational, where are people getting any sustenance at the moment?
So people in the north and in Gaza City are either queuing with people are baking bread in their own homes if they have flour. But we also know that flour supplies are dwindling. We also know that aid is not being distributed in Gaza City or in the north. So even though that aid, so little, not enough, only 2%, it represents only 2% of food deliveries that would have been carried out before 7th of October, is not reaching affected communities in Gaza City and in the north. And we're talking about almost 500,000, if not more, people still in the north and Gaza City.
Bushra,
so people are hungry.
Sorry, just to check in with you there, was any of that aid actually ever destined for the north? Israel had been quite explicit about wanting that aid to be really only for the south and central part of the Strip.
The north has been completely sealed off from the south. So that aid is not reaching the north, I think, except for some medical supplies that got in last week to some of the hospitals in the north. But I mean, again, not enough. The needs now are even greater than what they were before the 7th of October. So if we needed 500 trucks a day before the 7th of October, we need much more to be able to meet the daily needs of 2.2 million people, and half of which are children. People are hungry, and hunger has become a norm in Gaza, and this is my family's testimonies. They just eat very small meals, one a meal a day at best. With a lot of people are also ready for war because this is the 6th escalation that they have. So people usually have lentils and rice and flour at home. But again, the problem is the water. The water is dirty, so they're also cooking with dirty water if they are cooking.
Bushra, in terms of, obviously, fuel has been a huge issue here, especially in terms of being able to produce clean water, even being able to bake bread at home, but also to move around. You talked about the northern part of the Gaza Strip being now basically completely cut off. Are people able to leave if they want to, especially given the lack of fuel and the presence of Israeli troops there on the ground?
Well, I mean, the Israelis have given windows for people to leave from the north to the south and have asked for all residents of the north and Gaza City to evacuate towards the south. The problem is that these orders have often been not untrue, but they're not safe. These are not safe routes. We know that these routes have been bombed. We know that civilians were killed while trying to evacuate to the south. So people don't trust those orders anymore. It's causing so much panic and chaos. People are having to make these difficult decisions. And also people like my family, they're elderly. They can't walk to the south. It's not feasible for them to actually evacuate by foot with no belongings. They're not allowed to take any money. They're not allowed to take anything. When in their evacuation. So a lot of people are choosing to stay because it's not safe and they don't know where to go.
Bushra, in terms of the displacement, we've now understood that something like 70% of people have lost their homes. What are their options now? And I'm asking, I guess, is there a growing desire to leave the Gaza Strip, despite what we're hearing from politicians about forced displacement and red lines? Are people now in such desperate situations that they just want to go?
I mean, they're being forced to go. They're not choosing to go. They're being forced to go because they're being starved and they're thirsty and they need shelter. But there's nowhere to go to because Rafah has closed and Israeli borders are closed. And this is the responsibility of Israel as the occupier to ensure that it protects civilian population in Gaza, and it's not, because it's chosen to do the opposite by cutting off water, electricity, fuel, medical supplies, bombarding indiscriminately hospitals, ambulances, and necessary civilian infrastructure. So people are, some people don't have the choice. Like I'm saying, some of my family, they don't have the choice to evacuate because they don't know where to go to. Places are overcrowded. There's a wash sanitation crisis now developing. Why is my father-in-law being forced to go to an overcrowded situation that is probably unsafe anyway? He'd rather stay at home, and he said, to die in dignity in my own home, rather die than die in some stranger's home.
Bushra Khalidi there, the policy lead for Oxfam in the Palestinian Territories and Israel. Bushra, thank you for joining us on Al Jazeera, and I'm sorry to hear that your family is stuck at the moment in Gaza. We wish that they do remain safe. Thank you for your time.